Hi there, this is Sahan from Enforced Flow, and in this video I am going to quickly cover an exciting new feature of Enforced Flow, specially targeted for routing leads within US. This feature allows you to quickly configure a set of agents and assign them a US territory using zip codes, county, states, or even large areas like a region, for example, West Coast or East Coast. And you can even mix these types between agents. And then, as the criteria, send a city name, even a phone number, a zip code, state, or even a region, and get the closest agent. Enforced flow will get whatever the criteria that you provide and match against the agent regardless of what kind of region you have set. Now, to give an example how matching works, in the docs, we are covering some example use cases. So first case, imagine having three agents and we are using zip codes to set their territory. And for the input criteria to match, we are sending a city. And Enforced Flow will pick the closest agent, in this case John, because his zip code, he has a zip code that very close to or included within the provided city, San Francisco. Now in the second example, again providing a county. In this case, we have the agents with zip codes, and Enforced Flow will pick the right agent based on the zip code because that zip code is within that county. Now in the third example, we are providing a phone number. The phone number can have bunch of random numbers as the second segment. All we are interested in the state code, because behind the scene, Enforced Flow look at the state code within a phone number and then try to match. And it doesn't, for privacy reasons, if you want to send, for example, a bunch of zeros, that's totally fine. As long as the state area code is within the phone number, that's what matters. In this example, the state code is for Chicago, and we have an agent with a Chicago zip code. So Enforced Flow match Mary from Chicago. When there's no direct zip code included within an agent, Enforced Flow will fall back to the distance. So behind the scene, we calculate the distance between the provided zip code and all the zip codes assigned to an agent in this case, and try to pick the closest agent. And this is not limited to zip codes, because we will do the same for even cities or even states. The next example is, what if there are multiple agents that matches the criteria? Like for example, here for the input criteria, we are sending a state, California, and we have two agents who are from California. Though we have configured them using zip codes, end of the day, they are within California. Now, when there are multiple agents, Enforced Flow will automatically round robin between the two. So it all depends on what you provide as the criteria, and Enforced Flow will, in a smart way, pick the right strategy to either round robin or either pick the closest agent. Okay, another example where, say, we have configured agents using the county, and for the input criteria, you are providing a zip code. Again, same logic, and it'll just pick the right agent. And you can even provide a county as a criteria, and it'll pick the county from the agents. And in this example, as the criteria, we are providing a city, but at the agent level, agents are configured based on county. So city to county matching works as well. The next example, sending a state, Illinois, but at the agent level, agents are configured based on the county. Doesn't matter. Mary is the closest agent because Mary is from Illinois. Even though we have set Cook County, end of the day, Mary is from Illinois, and she's the only agent we have from Illinois, so Mary gets selected. And same as zip code example above, when for example a city is provided and we have the agents with county, there's no direct match, so we default to location based matching. And for the provided city, the closest one is San Francisco County across all these assigned territories, so we pick John. I will put a link in the description to this docs of Enforced Flow, where you can see more comprehensive examples of how routing works. I hope you get the idea. To start using this feature, you need an account with Enforced Flow. visit Enforced Flow website and click sign up, and you can get a free account. I have my own account here, and I have created a new group to demonstrate this feature called US Territory Demo. I have not configured anything. I just created the group, and whenever you create a group, it'll give you an email, which I will cover in a second, and it will also prompt you to add in what we call an email field. Go ahead and do that. This allows us to save an email field when we are creating agents. Okay, so after doing that, I'm going to switch to the fields tab. This is where we set what we call criteria fields. For this demo, I'm going to pick US territory and just going to add that. Of course, you can add layer in other fields as well, but for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to stick with US territory. To add agents, just need to switch to agents tab, and I'm going to add 3 agents for this demo. Done. So we have 3 agents. John is set to New York City, Buffalo, and finally Rochester. Before we move on to integration, let's test this out. So I can do, for example, Buffalo, New York here. If I do test assignment, it should give me, I believe, Sarah. Yep, that matches. Now I am going to test this out with a zip code within Buffalo. So if I test this out, sure enough, I get Sarah. Now I'm going to test this out by providing a zip code from an adjacent city called Niagara Falls, New York. So if I provide that, see which agent we get. Okay, we get Sarah, sure enough, because Buffalo is closer to Niagara Falls. All right, perfect. So that concludes our configuration at Enforced Flow. Let's move on to integrating this. Let's take a look at how to use email forwarding feature. So when you create a group within Enforced Flow, the group gets a specific email, its own email, where you can forward lead details, and it'll try to pick the right agent. That's why when we created the group, Enforced Flow prompted us to add an email field so we can save the email of the agent when we create the agent. Now to demonstrate this, I'm going to copy this group's email, and I'm just going to send an email from contact@enforcedflow to this group's email. So for the to address, I'm going to set the group's email. As you can see, it's going out from contact@enforcedflow, and say this email subject is lead info, and we are providing the lead's name, James Doe, and say we could add any details that hints the lead's location. For example, in this case, I'm going to add a zip code that's within New York City, or even we can put the full address, or we can set a state, for example. The best use case for this email forwarding is that imagine setting up a contact form within your WordPress site, for example, and as the receiving email, you can set the group's email right here. And 2 popular plugins are WP Forms and Contact Form 7. You can configure your contact form to have a state field or like an address field where they select their territory, or even like ask them to enter their zip code, and then you merge in that zip code like this as part of the email and send to this group address. And what Enforced Flow will do is Enforced Flow will try to extract the address part from the email body. It could be anything as long as it signals a location, and try to match the agent. So in this case, I'm sending an email to this group address with lead's name and a zip code. And if I send, John should get an email because John is assigned to New York City. Now, I have a catch-all set up for this email inbox. So when I email John at EnforcedFlow, it'll come to contact@enforcedflow.com. So I should get an email. Okay, I got an email. But as you can see, it's sent to John at EnforcedFlow. And it's because of this zip code right here. If you want to learn more about how to use the email functionality within WP Forms or Contact Form 7 or any contact form plugin for that matter, it's covered here. Essentially, you just set the email here and for the send address, and you can include additional content within the email body so EnforcedFlow can extract what's necessary. If you're concerned about the privacy, like I said, you don't have to include anything like full address. You can just include a part of the address like the zip code or the state, for example. That's how you use the email forwarding feature. Now let's take a look at how to use Zapier. Now let's take a look at how to set this up in Zapier. Pretty straightforward. I have created a new Zap and set up a trigger. The trigger could be a contact form fill, a lead coming in. For this demo, I have set up a webhook catch, and I did a test and I sent a sample lead called John Smith from Buffalo, New York. And again, like our demo, it could be zip code, city, even a county. Right? I'm going to continue with that record. When I do, it's prompting me to set up an action. And for the action, you need to select EnforcedFlow as the app. If you don't see it, just search up here and it should show up. EnforcedFlow. And for the action, select Get Next Agent and make sure you have an account authenticated. I already connected my account. And if I click continue, it'll prompt me to select the group. And for the group, I am going to select my group US territory demo. When you do that, it'll ask for you to set the input or the criteria. And this is coming from my webhook. So I'm going to set the city and the state. And then if I do a test for this example, it should give me an agent that's assigned to Buffalo. Right, so I got Sarah, all the details here. So as the action, say I want to send an email to my agent. So EnforcedFlow return all the information I need. So if I click continue, say now in here, 2 would be what's coming out of get next agent step here. And the agent meta email subject could be anything lead info, and in the body I can include the name of the lead and the location. And yep, that's pretty much it. From the get next agent, you get all the information you need, including the agent's name and agent's email, and this is what you need. And whatever the information you add under an agent, for example, you can even do, say you want to send, instead of emails, you want to send Slack notifications. You can create a field called Slack user ID. Oops. User ID. Say I add Slack user ID and you set Slack user ID for the then you can set the Slack user ID like this for the users, and then when you do the action step in Zapier, it'll return the Slack user ID. So you can use a Slack user ID to send a notification to that agent. And that's pretty much it. Hope it made sense. If there are any questions, feel free to send us an email, contact@enforcedflow.com, and refer to our docs if you want to know how to implement this.